Today, India is known as land rich in people and culture. But how was India first reached by Europeans? And how did this travel route come to change the world?
In the mid-15th century, Portugal was a leading seafaring nation.
Mainly thanks to the Portuguese Prince Henry, known to most as Henry the Navigator. In year 1418, he founded the institute at Sagres in southern Portugal. The institute was dedicated to research and development in new techniques concerning astronomy and shipbuilding. This brought talented mapmakers, astronomers, geographers, and navigators together.
Henry the Navigator dreamt of finding a new trade route to India in hopes of accessing the profit-making trade in spices from the east. His dream was never fulfilled, and instead he sponsored many expeditions along the West African coast, resulting in a large trade of slaves and gold instead.
In 1487, Portuguese Bartholomew Dias was finally able to round the southern tip of Africa, later called the Cape of Good Hope, restoring the beliefs of one day reaching India.
In addition to trying to reach India by sea, the Portuguese monarch King John II also sent an explorer on an overland journey. His name was
Pedro da Covilla.
Chosen because of his Arabic-speaking skills, he gathered much information from the East African and Indian ports, useful when he returned 3 years later.
In 1493, before the Portuguese were able to use the information they now had, Christopher Columbus, who was sponsored by Spain, returned to Europe claiming that he had found a successful route to the Orient by sailing west across the Atlantic. This created rivalry between Portugal and Spain, who both wanted the control of trade from Asia. The Pope stepped in to arbitrate, and in 1494, the Treaty of
Tordesillas.
was signed. This settled it by an imaginary line going through the Atlantic, giving newly discovered lands to the west to Spain and everything to the east of the line to Portugal.
King John was delighted. The contract meant that the possible sea route to India was theirs to find and hopefully control in the future.
In 1497, the new King of Portugal, Manuel I, asked explorer Vasco da Gama to lead an expedition to India. That would be the first one to succeed. But who was Vasco da Gama?
Nasci em Sines, pequeno porto no sul de Portugal, 1460. Minha família era muito rico. Minha mãe era de ascendência inglesa e meu pai era chefe de uma das famílias mais nobres de Portugal e governador em Sines. Meu interesse na navegação cresceu como eu me tornei parte da marinha como homem jovem, e quando fui nomeado pelo rei para liderar esta jornada fiquei encantado. Bartolomeu Dias, pessoalmente, ajudou com os preparativos para a minha viagem. Eu estava muito animado. A frota tinha 4 navios e 2 foram especialmente construídos. Eu estava de capitão curso da capitânia São Gabriel. A tripulação foi composta por 170 homens. E 3 deles eram pilotos muito talentosos. Nós partiu de Lisboa a 8 de julho de 1497. A bordo estavam os mais recentes instrumentos de navegação. Nós chegou às Ilhas Canárias em 15 de julho e passou para as ilhas de Cabo Verde. Entre 26 de julho e 3 de agosto, o que preparamos para a próxima fase da nossa viagem. Bartolomeu Dias tinha aconselhou-nos a fazer um curso em comum, um laço enorme para o Atlântico, para evitar o marasmo no Golfo da Guiné. Estávamos quase 1000 quilómetros de Brasil antes de os ventos soprou-nos de volta para a África Austral. Em 7 de novembro chegamos a Santa Helena Bay, 200 quilómetros ao norte do Cabo da Boa Esperança. Nós tínhamos sido fora da vista da terra por 13 semanas. De agora em diante estaríamos navegando em águas desconhecidas. 2 dias depois, que dobrou o Cabo da Boa Esperança e desembarcou em Mossel Bay, em 2 de março de 1498, que navegou para o porto de Moçambique, que, em seguida, partiu para Mombasa, onde recrutou um dos melhores navegadores árabes que ajudaram a liderar o caminho para a Índia. Nós atingimos o nosso objetivo e chegou a Calicuta 20 de maio de 1498.
Communication and trade of culture was established as the sea route to India was discovered by the Portuguese. They were able to bring back Asian rarities and novelties. This made Lisbon the leading marketplace for Asian goods in Europe.
Goods brought back were, for example, spices, teas, silks, cottons, and porcelains. Since European goods weren't desired at the Asian markets, the Portuguese paid back with silver. Scientific and artistic
After having lost
technologies,
half his
however,
crew
were
to
very
scurvy,
fascinating for the
he
Asians.
received a hero's welcome.
Vasco da Gama has always been rewarded as a true hero. But important to remember is the fact that a lot of brutality was used by the Europeans in Asia to show their power and establish their settlements.
Obrigado por assistir.